two things. One, got a new Demon Slayer shirt, so I have more anime merch to wear instead of just the Attack on Titan and the Naruto Akatsuki robes. But gotta switch up the drip a little bit here and there. You know, like you gotta get some new shirts, new clothes. College is back. That's the second part. But then third part, Gigguk dropped a video, and this is a video didn't expect, but I kind of should have, because it's just called "Thank You Evangelion," and that 3.0 plus 1.0 movie was top notch, and it gave me a whole new appreciation for the franchise, because I watched the original Evangelion show and then the end of Evangelion. I'm like, cool. It's like a 7 out of 10. Really liked that. It was cool. I enjoyed the intro. Intro was pretty banging. Enjoyed the characters a little bit. Some of them were a little off, but you know, that's all right. Shinji kind of wasn't the best main character, but my cousin told me about the 3.0 plus 1.0 because I was completely out the loop, and he's like, "Yeah, this movie just dropped, but you have to watch 3 other movies, and this is the way he wanted Evangelion to go." And I'm just like, "Oh, this could be sick." In the first movie, I'm just like, "Yep, just rewatching it. This is how the show went. This is how the show went." Second movie, it ended, and I'm just like, "Wait a second, this is a bit different than the way things went." And then the third movie was completely different. Fourth movie, completely different. And it gave me a whole new love for the show. And now the 3 endings, that one, in my opinion, is the best. That's the best of the 3 endings. So, with that, Giga dropped the video. Thank you, Evangelion. I'm expecting him to just go over everything. It's 15 minutes or so? Just talking about Evangelion. And I'm excited, because I'm wondering how, because he's probably going to have a deeper explanation for why it was good than I could ever give you. But yeah, let's get into it. And before we get in the video, subscribe, do all this stuff. I'm on way 2K. Let's go.
I don't know if it's become sort of a cheesy line to say that a certain show or anime in some way changed you or helped you through a tough time in your life.
Mm-hmm.
The profound idea that a piece of entertainment could have such a tangible effect that it shapes you, and even if you may change, grow older, grow more mature, you still carry a piece of it with you years after you watch it. I'm sure many of you have 1 or 2 things that have done that for you, but in anime, I don't think there's a franchise that has touched and influenced as big of an audience as Evangelion. Evangelion is quite possibly my favorite anime of all time. Or at least it's the one I've carried with me for the longest.
That's a take.
And I know that's not really a hot take, considering this is arguably the most influential anime of all time.
And it's obviously one of the most popular, so that's
the series every anime fan needs to experience at least once in their lives.
Yes,
Not
I
because
can agree with
I think
that.
everyone will instantly love it as a universally acclaimed masterpiece, but because it's such a profoundly powerful and intimate piece of media that if by chance you do come out of this resonating with a character or a scene or maybe just a single line, it'll stick with you for a very, very long time. It's touched many lives in a way no other piece of media has or ever will, and I think it'd be a massive shame if there was even a chance of anyone depriving themselves of that experience. I say this, but I actually hated it the first 2 times I watched it, because I think the worst thing that Ava does is that it genuinely builds up this interesting world and mystery.
And then in episodes 25, 26, 23, whatever,
thinking,
those last 2
this
episodes,
is such a cool world.
snaps,
I
and you're
can't
just
wait
like,
till they explain where the angels come from,
and they don't.
What the Dead Sea Scrolls are, the Lance of Longinus, what's going to happen to the characters, and how are they going to resolve all their problems. And then none of that happened. The ending that was meant to conclude it did the opposite. The TV series ending at the time felt like a low-budget therapy session tacked on because the studio ran out of money, and the end of the Evangelion movie was, to me, a self-masturbatory, pretentious mindfuck that left me less satisfied than when I started it. I came into
that was a fucking chaotic
traditional story, and I went out confused and unfulfilled.
That's why I was like, oh yeah, end of Evangelion. Okay, at least that exists.
That I'd gotten invested invested
And
in
then
the
I was
series
just like,
in the
okay, it's a
first
slightly
place.
better
I
intro.
spent days
Or exit.
researching, reading explanations, getting into online
Yeah.
arguments.
I've
and I
had
left
to look
even
up
more
Evangelion lore
confused.
too, man.
I could not understand how a series like this got the critical acclaim that it did. And that's how it was for me, for the longest time. Then, years later, I entered the darkest period of my life.
Ooh.
Several massive things happened to me, and I was in the worst mental state I'd ever been in and ever have been in still. Nothing could pick me up from this well I'd fallen into. My favorite anime lost their magic, games were no longer fun, everything just kind of felt meaningless. And for some reason, I decided to put on Evangelion because, hell, why the fuck not, right?
It shows
This time,
really
though,
good.
something
It's really
just
good at showing
clicked.
depression.
I no longer cared about the mysteries or the lore of the world.
You
I
just-
saw broken people trying to find value in who they were.
Mhm.
I saw pieces of myself spread out in every character, and the fever dream artsy sequences I dismissed as pretentious before somehow made sense. It was like someone had laid out my jumbled, fractured stream of consciousness and put it on screen. For the first time, I actually started to understand it. And by understand,
another
I
one.
don't just mean that I suddenly had an epiphany that allowed me to comprehend every
gotta
small
stop being
line
able to
in
do that.
detail, but it felt like on some level I could empathize with what these characters were feeling, with what the creator was trying to say. It felt like someone understood the pain I was going through, and in a way
That's the one
gave
part I
me
still don't really
comfort.
like much.
To
The
me,
whole,
in
like,
some twisted way, it made me
Masato
feel
and
like I might have been suffering,
Shinji
but
kiss, that
at
felt
least
weird.
there was someone out there
I'm
who
still
could
not the hugest fan
empathize
about
with
that
this
part.
pain I was feeling. Someone else had felt what I was feeling right now.
Yeah.
My life wasn't suddenly cured,
Yeah.
but
When you put that in perspective and you hear about the story of the author and stuff and how the budget got cut, they threw him on another show, but they wasted the budget really early and he had to mess around and do all this stuff. There was a literal, I think the studio or something near his place of work got bombed and like a dozen people died or got injured, and they cut the budget there too. So Evangelion just turned into a thing where it was just like, yeah, it's just my mind. I'm just gonna use Shinji to self-reflect and talk about the depression and what I'm going through. And when you put it in that perspective, you kind of have to sit back and you're just like, damn, that is crazy. Because you do get to understand how he feels and understands. But the fact that even when he had to use those limiters, eventually he finally got to tell the story he wanted to tell. And that is very, very rare. Like when in the newest case with like Zack Snyder and the Justice League movie, when people are allowed to tell the story they want to tell, they're most likely making amazing, amazing stories. But a lot of times there's outside forces that don't let you do that. And the fact that Evangelion got that second chance is sick. And that second chance is what made it for me. Because actually being able to see the full completed story and knowing the other part, and it's like just seeing how it all build up is just something I've really never seen before. Like there's like I said, the Justice League thing, but that's different. Because people were mentioning it, like if you were a freshman in high school when the Evangelion first movie came out, you'd be in 30s. And I'm just like, holy shit, you're right. And I just got lucky where I got to see 2 years ago or whatever, got to see the original show, the end of Eva, and then I got to see the continuation of that. The whole, like, the ending, and I didn't have to wait all that long. It's sort of a blessing because there's people who've waited a very long time for this. And I'm just super glad that it's a satisfying ending because I haven't heard a single person complain about the ending because I think it was genuinely great. Everything built together, it made the story feel a little bit more interlocked. And it was good. It was really good character, and there was some really shocking moments, some really upsetting moments, and it was a roller coaster. And y'all really gotta go see Evangelion. Just go watch it. Um, it was one of those things where it was like, I didn't even have it in my like top 20, top 15 maybe. It's good. It's all right. Don't understand it. But when those movies came out and you get the appreciation of all of it, I'm just sitting there like, what do I like worse than Evangelion? So like, yeah, I can say I'd say it's top 5 because I think there's some like the Naruto franchise I like more. I like Code Geass more, and I like Black Clover more. But when I can put those three, and I kind of gotta sit there, and I think Evangelion may be a little bit over like Black Clover in third place, but there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. That was a long tangent, but I just had to say that because Evangelion really did hit me. It's a fucking amazing show.
A lot of things just mentally clicked together, and at least for a period, it gave me a sense of tranquility. And I think that's the real power of Evangelion. When people say you don't get Evangelion,
it's true.
I used to think
Very
that was
difficult.
a pretentious way of attacking my intelligence, that I somehow couldn't
Everyone takes it
comprehend
at their
what was
own way.
going on. But now I just think it just means that you don't resonate with the emotions being portrayed on screen. Because to me, there's no real way you
I
can
feel it's
truly
better to watch
understand
Evangelion if
I've
you
watched
are
a lot of
in a
people far smarter and more attentive than I ever will be
smarter.
analyze every single
Like,
character, broken down its themes and symbolism, spend hours upon hours breaking down every single part of this franchise, and I still don't fully understand Ava.
No
But
one
I'm
fully
fine with
understands
that,
Ava
because
except for the
I
creator.
think by design, I don't know if it's even meant to be something you can comprehend in a traditional sense.
It's not Star
It's quite
Wars.
well known
Actually,
that the
then again,
creator,
Star Wars is
Hideaki
very
Anno,
hard to
was
comprehend.
in an awful state of mind when he made it. And
It's
I can
not
never
Death
ignore
Note.
this, because I remember
They don't
during
explain
that
everything
period
to
in
you.
my life, little, if anything, made sense at all. Emotions don't always make sense, and that's what I feel from this show. I don't see someone trying to lay out a coherent narrative meant to be understood. I see a guttural cry for help. I see someone trying so desperately to find resolution to their own internal struggles. More than any other series I've seen, this feels like someone laying their feelings bare in front of us.
Exactly.
For no
Exactly
other
what I said.
purpose
He did.
Other than the catharsis of expressing themselves. And this is something I can personally relate to. I think the most powerful thing I've ever
Like, even
made
though it's a
to
science
date
fiction show.
is this AMV called Reflections of Despair. It's still on YouTube now, but it's something that I made during that dark period. And I made it for no reason other than I just needed to. I needed to vent. I needed to put my pain into something. I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have anyone to pick me up. So I sat in my room alone for 2 days straight, putting my emotions into the editing timeline of this video.
Wow.
To me, it was my way of crying for help. I was screaming in total silence.
Jesus.
I am still incredibly proud of this AMV, even if I don't recognize the person who made it. Sure, I know I did.
Yeah.
I literally remember doing it, but I couldn't recreate something like this even if I tried, for better or worse.
Because you're a different person today than you were in the past.
Looking back at this, I don't know what I was trying to say. I don't know why I picked the lines I did, why I chose these scenes, or why I used this song. All I know is that it felt right at the time. I
That's all
realize
you
this
need
isn't
to do.
comparable to making a full TV series, but this is what I feel from every iteration of Ava. Perhaps Anno did know exactly what he wanted to say, perhaps he didn't, but what I always feel is the catharsis of his raw, unbridled emotions etched into the show. It's so strongly imbued with these emotions that if you've ever related even just a little bit, it's impossible to not have some kind of guttural reaction to it, to use it as a springboard to reflect on yourself. Every time I've watched Evangelion, I've come out with something new, and there's just something special about a series that can teach me something new about myself every single time I watch it. If there was one thing I never got from Ava, however, it was that feeling of a satisfying end, at least naturally. As you grow older, you realize that not everything in life has a clean ending.
True.
Not everything has a perfect solution, and that's fine. Sometimes you just learn to live with it and move on, and that's exactly what happens with me and Ava. Which brings me to my motivation of making this video in the first place, which is the final Evangelion film that just got its release worldwide, Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0. My hype for the final Ava movie died a long time ago. At first, I was giddy
because it was 8 years between it, right?
Ending.
That's crazy.
And then 3 films took 5 years to make, and then after that, 1 year passed, then 2 years, then 5 years. And now, almost 10 years after 3.0 came out, my initial reaction to it getting released was, oh, it's out. By this point in life, I had made peace with the franchise. I could have gotten no more Ava in my life at all, and I would have been completely fine with it. I was no
the end of Ava is one of the few times. This new end of Ava is one of the few times I just got
how much
shivers.
This movie meant for me.
Exactly.
This didn't just feel like 9 years in the making. It felt like 26 years in the making. And I can't even begin to describe the cathartic release of feeling what I never got to feel over half my lifetime ago now. When
that last movie was the best of the movies, in my opinion.
Was it the perfect movie? No. Was every little thing resolved? No. Was it even my favorite ending? No.
I think it's my favorite ending.
That I'd forgotten that I was waiting for. I have no shame in admitting that I didn't understand most of what was going on.
Oh yeah,
like I've
it
said,
was
to me,
a mess,
Ava
but
was never
I gathered
about
it.
the perfect narrative, understanding every plot point or tying up all loose ends.
Because you never do in your own world.
Resonance and what resonated with me.
If you
was
understand
everything,
everything,
found a way to move past.
There's nothing to wonder
about. In the
about.
original Ava, Shinji learned to accept who he was and love himself. And every ending kind of replicates that same sentiment, but this time it felt different.
Yeah.
Because it really felt like the person behind him saying it had time to properly believe it.
Yeah.
You don't just
he
wake
sat
up one
there
day and be okay with the world. You don't just take one pill.
In that movie, he sat there for the first hour and a half in his own head. And everyone was trying to be like, pick yourself up. We're there for you. We care for you. And it was one of those things where you sat there, but you totally understood what was going through Shinji's mind. You completely understood all of his feelings. And when Rei dies, it was one of those things where he kind of just had to sit there and be like, yes, I'm in a world that doesn't make much fucking sense at all. But eventually you just have to come to terms with yourself. You have to love yourself, and you have to push through, even if it's the thing you don't want to do. And he pushed through, and he changed the world because of it. And I think the ending of him being with I believe her name is Mirai, Miki. Fucking, I feel like an idiot. Glasses girl, Evangelion. Mari. Forgot her name. But yeah, him being with Mari at the end, all grown up and stuff, and moving past it. It's what you gotta do in life. You can't let shit sit and simmer on you. You have to push back. You have to show your confidence. You have to go through this stuff. And I think once you just finally come to grasp with the situation you're in, then you can do something about it. Like, once you finally get the grasp of sitting around and not doing something, it felt like my cousin, he told me before, because he watched a movie before, because he watched the other movies, and then the moment it dropped on Amazon Prime, he's like, I'm watching it. He told me, made Shinji a much better character. And I'm like, Shinji a better character? Because he seemed a lot like, even in all the other movies, it seemed like he never had that closing arc. Like, he never fully got over it. And then this one, he did. And he finally stood up for what he thought, and it was beautiful. It was so good. And even my parents noticed. I'm sitting here walking around the house and they're just like, what's on your mind? I'm just like, this fucking anime. And I like explained it to them and they're just like, it sounds like really affected you. And I'm just like, yeah, it will affect anybody who watches it if they've ever gone through any troubles in their life. And yeah, I really appreciate this Gigguk video, man. I really appreciate what's going on. It's going to be a very, very long video, but I don't mind. Let's keep it going.
And wish goodbye to depression. You don't just have one pep talk and
Yes.
realize that
it's never one thing
about you is now fixed.
It's going to take a while.
So,
and then it takes work afterward.
Of the same guy who made Ava 26 years later, and not just seeing, but actually feeling a completely different person retelling the story. A happier person exuding through this final ending.
Because now he can finally get over it.
I couldn't be more delighted. I couldn't be happier that someone like me had found a way to move on. I don't know how I could possibly convey the feeling of having a franchise that meant so much to you, that stuck with you for years, that you'd made peace with, that you thought would always be there, coming to an end. I felt happy that I got to experience such an amazing journey in the first place.
Yeah.
I felt sad, because it felt like I was finally putting an aspect of my younger self to rest for good. I felt empty, because this was it. This was truly the end. But most of all, I felt fulfilled in a way only Ava could make me feel. In the end, to me, Ava was a passionate way for one man to lay his raw emotions and ideas out there. It's the story of a broken man on his journey to solace. As a fan, you view this journey through foggy glasses. You spend your time figuring out where he was going with all this. You guess, second guess, analyze, creep in for a closer look, research, analyze over every detail, ponder over whether it means anything at all, question why you give a damn in the first place, only to realize that in the end, it meant something to you. Something about it spoke to you. That's just the baggage that came with being an Ava fan, because whatever message you take from the franchise, from the endings, from any of the iterations, it is, and always will be, your own. This is a series that will probably stick with me for the rest of my life, but I've grown up and moved on to a world without Ava. Even so, I couldn't be more thankful that I was given one last opportunity to properly put a rest to that part of my life. And in the end, I don't think there's anything more I can say other than goodbye and thank you, all of Evangelion.
God, this song, that outro song, One Last Kiss, I added it to the playlist. It did just perfect outro song for that movie. Oof, yeah, no, that was a great video. That was a fantastic video. And it really did convey all the points, because I sat there and I'm just like, at the beginning I'm like, I don't really know how to explain it myself because I'm not that amazing with words. But you saw as he went through, just the thoughts just throw into my mind, and I had to pause. I think those are some of the longest tangents I have ever had in this channel, and I'm so glad for that. I'm so glad for that, because Evangelion is just something different, man. Like, it's insane. Like, that's why when I saw this video and I was at work, I'm like, I don't care if I get home at 10. I don't care if I have to wake up for 6 in the morning tomorrow. I'm watching this and I'm making a reaction, because I know that this is something I'm going to want to talk about. Because Evangelion is such a fantastic series. Such a fantastic series. It's top 5 now. It's top 5. And there's not many series that can make me feel this way. So, yeah, please leave all the discussion in the comments. I want to hear all your opinions about Evangelion. I want to read it. I want to chat with you guys. Really appreciate y'all if you've stuck around. Just say, I don't know. just comment. I'll appreciate everything. I appreciate all the interaction on this channel, and thank you guys for bringing me this far. Like, it's always nice, and this is like my most successful month on YouTube so far. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, let's keep it going from there. And with that, I'm out. Peace.